And welcome to Hannity, and we are just 119 days away from the 2024 presidential election, only 70 days away from early voting. It begins in Pennsylvania, then rolls out in many states across the country. And in just a moment, the 45th and possibly 47th president of the United States, Donald Trump, will join us for an exclusive interview. This will be President Trump's very first interview since Democrats and the state-run media mob started to acknowledge the obvious truth about Joe Biden's mental and physical health and his cognitive decline. The charade, the cover-up, the corruption, the lying is now officially over. They're pointing fingers and they're blaming and acting as if they were not complicit, which is a joke. And now it is America's time for choosing. Now, this isn't a choice between Trump and Biden. Instead, you will decide and need to decide whether we have a constitutional republic for the people, by the people, or will a cabal of Biden enablers and liars and state-run media lying and covering up and far-left unelected deep state bureaucrats continue to run this country into the ground with Biden or some other Democrat as their front person? Make no mistake, Joe Biden is not in charge at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. He's not calling the shots. He's not making the decisions. In fact, Joe has been a cognitive wreck from before he was even sworn in, which is something we have been reporting and been criticized for more than 4 years before the 2020 election. Take a look to remind you. We turn once again to the ever weak, frail, cognitive mess that is all things Joey Biden and Sippy Cup. He's so obviously having cognitive issues. That's being polite. After all, he's having more and more trouble recalling basic facts, what day of the week it is, what office he's running for. They are obviously hiding something about Joe Biden. In all likelihood, they are hiding the full extent of Joe's cognitive struggles, because when he does go out 2-3 days in a row, it's an unmitigated disaster. In spite of the feigned outrage and shock and horror at the debate, everyone that works in state-run media, the mob as I call them, they have known beyond any doubt that Joe Biden is mentally impaired. For 3 years, he barely did any press conferences or other unscripted events. He did very few sit-down interviews. They were few and far between. He struggled to walk with an unusual shuffle, barely getting his feet off the ground. We saw him fall over and over and over again. Then the big boy steps up to Air Force One. They were soon replaced with the little boy staircase. Also, Joe took almost every weekend off. And when he was at the White House, his calendar featured barely one public event on average per day. Those events were always very short, tightly controlled, and still Joe struggled. The majority of Americans, as much as 70%, have long believed that Biden is not fit to serve. It has been obvious Joe was never up to the job, but the media mob did their best to cover this up and lie for him for years. They even tried to gaslight any American into thinking very real videos showing Biden's struggles, they were cheap fake videos. Again, those very real videos were unedited. And this was only a couple of weeks ago. They attacked the special counsel, Robert Hur, because he dared to refer to Biden as an elderly man with a poor memory who was asking questions like, was I still vice president in 2009? And now Joe Biden's weaponized Department of Justice is refusing to let you see the Hur interview and decide for yourself. Well, that is the DOJ's campaign contribution to Joe and a cover-up of monumental and historic proportions. This is bad for our country. Meanwhile, I was attacked repeatedly, called a conspiracy theorist for pointing out the obvious, the transparent truth about Joe Biden's cognitive state. They have been lying and covering up for Joe in what has been a coordinated effort to beat Donald Trump at any and all costs. They told the world that Biden was as sharp as ever. He gets more done in an hour than most of you accomplish in a single day. It's one huge lie. And every American has been betrayed by this and this cover-up. And the country has suffered needlessly from the radical policies implemented by this new Green Deal radical socialist Marxist party, all supported by state-run media and the mob. But now finally the truth has started to emerge from the left, not out of concern for Biden or the country, but because they fear they're going to lose to Donald Trump. The polls, they don't look good for Joe. Recent survey taken after Joe's disastrous debate shows Donald Trump up by 15 points in Arizona. That same poll has Trump up by 5 in Pennsylvania, 4 in Michigan. Trump is ahead in every battleground state in the country and is up by several points in multiple nationwide polls. But by the way, now Democrats, the media, they're trying to humiliate Biden, force him out of this race. And that's why we're seeing bombshell reports like this one from ABC, quote, Parkinson's expert visited White House 8 times in 8 months, met with Biden's doctor. And this story from Axios detailing the tremendous effort needed just to get Joe on a stage. Not only do staffers help guide the president in person, but apparently they also print out big pictures for Joe showing him the exact path to get to the podium and the stage, given simple step-by-step instructions in huge font like walk to podium. Actually says that. But anyway, we continue. One staffer working at a fundraiser told Axios, quote, it surprised me that a seasoned political pro like the president would need detailed verbal and visual instructions on how to enter and exit a room. But it gets worse. This week, our suspicions were confirmed. It appears the White House, the Biden campaign, is in the habit of feeding pre-approved questions to so-called journalists ahead of their interviews. At least 2 radio hosts now have come forward admitting the Biden team provided, quote, acceptable questions for the president. And despite all of this assistance and collusion, Biden still struggles in a big way. Here's Biden accidentally referring to himself as a black woman. Listen.
By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president.
On Sunday, another pretty unusual moment from Biden, who appeared to freeze up during a church service, nervously looking toward his handlers for guidance. Take a look at this.
Let us stand together. Oh, at the cross, where I first saw the light, and the burdens of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I am happy all the day.
Anyway, all weekend, Biden tried to demonstrate vigor, and instead he just humiliated himself over and over again. Weird, rambling stories, a 1,000-yard gaze with emptiness in his eyes. You decide.
I tell you what, after I went to a local parade, a little parade in a little place called Hockessin, Delaware, right on the Pennsylvania border after our son had passed, and I was sitting there at home thinking it was his favorite parade, so I decided just to go into it. And I was walking along in this small community, and 4 guys about your size came running up to me. I thought the Secret Service was going to kill them. And they came running up, swear to God, true story, said, Joe, what's all this damn stuff about Pennsylvania? You're from Delaware. You're from Delaware. Yeah, but it never leaves you. And with your help, I know we have your help. With my help, helping us working together, we're going to get a hell of a lot done for the American people. And we're going to make sure these things are. So anyway, I guess if I stand here long enough, all those folks in the back are going to die of sunstroke. But I'm not able to do what I used to do. I'd be riding down the street in the vehicle before and see a bunch of kids in the schoolyard waving. I'd stop and get out. Realistically, I can't do that anymore. It's just too dangerous what's going on out there.
Remember, how many times have we shown videos? He doesn't know whether to exit stage left, stage right, or turns and he shakes air like that. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women are created by the thing. Oh, you know the thing. God, the creator of everything. It's not good. We still have yet to see a lengthy press conference from Joe. Instead, on Friday, he sat down for a whopping 22 minutes with former Clinton attack dog Georgie Stephanopoulos in another sad attempt to demonstrate vigor. He told Georgie will have no regrets about staying in the race so long as he does, quote, his goodest job he can do. Okay, take a look.
And if you stay in and Trump is elected and everything you're warning about comes to pass, how will you feel in January?
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do. That's what this is about.
Goodest job, and only a message from God himself would cause him to step down. But now more and more Democrats disagree. They want Joe out, but Joe's closest advisors are not going to let that happen. Dr. Jill and Hunter Biden want Biden to stay in this race no matter what. They are desperately clinging to power in what Michael Moore is comparing to elder abuse. So will Biden survive this politically and make it to November? I have no idea. But let me tell you what is clear. Joe isn't running the show at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And know this, know that one thing, every name of every Democrat mentioned as a possible replacement, understand this is a radicalized, new Green Deal, socialist, Marxist party. They will implement the same failed policies as Joe on the economy, immigration, law and order, on energy, education, America abandoning their role as the leader of the free world. It won't make a difference if it's him or any of the other Marxist, socialist, radical new Green Deal Democrats. So if you truly value our democratic republic over a permanent bureaucracy, there's really only one choice this election. Early voting. It starts in 70 days. When we come back, my exclusive interview with Donald J. Trump. Straight ahead. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.